The man who passes the sentence should swing the sword.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground.
Someone took her away from me, and 7 kingdoms couldn't fill the hole she left behind.
So long as I am your king, treason shall never go unpunished.
A very small man can cast a very large shadow.
Strike hard and true, Jon Snow.
I want to fight for the side that fights for the living.
Hello and welcome to our Game of Thrones Spoilercast, where we are going to be going over the entire kind of series, not doing like a play-by-play, but just our favorite things, because this was one of our favorite media properties to have ever existed. So we wanted to kind of take the opportunity to sit down and film us talking about it, because we don't want to do it without a camera, because then there's no potential for money.
Now, I just want to get off like this right off the bat.
I just want to get off right now.
I just want to get off. Oh, God, so badly. This is going to be from season 1 to season 8, like start to finish. We're going to be talking about the entire
We're doing season 8?
That's the other thing. If you are just going to shit on season 8 and you just want to complain about D&D suck and let's get competent writers, this isn't the thing for you, I don't think.
I don't think it is. Like, I mean, you can watch if you want, but we're going to be mostly, this is a very positive, this is a Game of Thrones positive media that we're going to be talking about here.
Yeah.
We might have some little digs here and there, but it's not going to be like, we're not going to be fucking throwing out petitions left and right, being like, no, they got to reshoot it. You know, the thing that cost billions, redo it.
Yeah.
Entirely.
Yeah. So let's try and keep, I mean, if you want to have a discussion in the comments, that is perfectly fine. But I just want to get right off the bat that we're not gonna be shitting on season 8.
No, we're not gonna be shitting on it. We're gonna be talking about our favorite experiences with it and kind of what we noticed throughout the show and kind of the media landscape of it.
Yeah.
And kind of
how D&D ruined 1 through 5, 6,
all of it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just kind of like how like the cultural impact of Game of Thrones on the wider world. So it's going to be very positive. We're going to kind of go through the seasons, look at everything, and come along on this journey with us while we recant our tales of Westeros.
Yes. So, where do you want to begin?
Also, spoilers. Duh.
Yeah,
it's a spoiler cast.
Yeah, spoiler cast. So if you haven't seen the show, don't watch it.
Also, we've had a couple viewers sometimes that are like, I wish they wouldn't swear so much. Foul language is ahead. Duh.
Yeah. Not family friendly. Don't watch this with your grandmother.
Well, you can watch it with your grandma if she's a freak.
If she's rad.
if your grandma's
a straight
rad.
dirty girl. Yeah.
So, speaking of dirty grandmas.
Yeah.
Tori, right off the bat, who was your favorite character in Game of Thrones? Portrayal and character arc.
Okay.
Like, it can be two separate answers or it can be the same person.
Okay. So that's a really tough one because, like, notoriously, there's
a huge fucking cast. There's no main cast, essentially.
Right. And there's so many characters I like love, but I gotta go with Tyrion as my favorite character.
Okay. And portrayal or character arc?
I think it might be both.
Okay.
And I think that's a close second by, and I could say like Ned Stark or something like that, but I want to go with characters who were in a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So Jon Snow would be the other one.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, I had a tough time narrowing it down because I do also really love Tyrion's portrayal by the great Sir Peter Dinklage.
Yep.
He hasn't been knighted, but I'm gonna get out ahead of it. Okay,
Yeah.
He's gonna get knighted in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I'll knight you. Get over here, Peter.
Da, a knight of the Seven Kingdoms. 6.
Yeah.
Give or take a few years, it'll be 5.
Yeah.
The Iron Islands out of that bitch.
Yeah, well, they're gonna keep branching off.
Yeah, I really liked Peter Dinklage's portrayal. I think he was so good because he was great in terms of both portrayal and character arc because his portrayal changed so much over the seasons. Like season 1, he's like your rich pretty boy.
Yeah.
Fucking I'm just drunk.
I don't know
all the
about
time.
pretty boy, but he was like the
You
rich.
know what I mean?
Kind of like
the
I can have whatever I want.
The attitude of a pretty boy.
Yeah, definitely. He had the rich, like, my dad'll sue you kind of attitude.
Yeah, and like he kind of got the glimpse of like, oh shit, when I'm disconnected from my money, I'm fucked. But he got through season 1 entirely with the promise of, I'm very rich.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily that part goes away as he goes on, but I think he's one of the ones that from the beginning you start to see you start to kind of peel back the layers on him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, why do you read so many books? Which, by the way, died after season 1.
Yeah.
Like, why does he read so many books? But
Well, I mean, come on, look at the rest of the seasons. He didn't have fucking time to be reading.
have you caught up on the series? I just don't have time, man.
He's literally the busiest person there probably is.
Yeah, he really is. But you start, like, I read so many books because I understand that I don't have talents elsewhere, so my mind is what I try to keep sharp.
Yep.
And then I have a special place in my heart for cripples, bastards, and broken things, that line. And that's just season 1. And then as it goes on, you start to peel back more and more where you see his mind in action. You see how he can be genuinely caring about people.
In season 2, then you get his whole like responsibility kind of like arc where he's like, I have a large position thrown at me. And then at first he's like, I'll dick around with it. Like, I'll see how power turns out. And then when it becomes clear that Stannis will invade, it's like, okay, I have to do this to ensure that like we kind of keep civilization as we know it.
Yeah.
And
like,
then
he's able to mount up to the challenge in the face of a war, which he has never had to come close to. He's always been the one that's like, oh, you went off to war. Well, my daddy funded it. That kind of guy.
Yeah.
But he really like sacked up when it came push came
and then
to shove.
he like season 3 and 4 kind of lost that thing because he was, wounded and depressed and then put on trial and was about to be murdered by his own family. But then again, sacked up to the challenge of like, I'm going to be the hand of the queen now. Like, I need to undertake this new challenge. Quite frankly, though, he kind of did a shit job at the end.
Yeah, he did. I think because not only was he screwing up all the time, but he was kind of trying to continue his trajectory, which wasn't what Dany wanted once he became Hand of the Queen. Mm-hmm. And
I mean, it was totally different needs that he had to fulfill, and it was...
Yeah, and that was where he was like, oh boy, like, I think I'm doing this right, and it is not right at all. But he came back to being that character that I love again in the very last episode of the show.
Yeah, like the last 10 minutes becoming that person again or I mean the entire last episode, just I need to undertake this responsibility, and the fucking pin drop.
Yeah.
Like, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's a baller move. Mad respect to Peter Dinklage.
Yeah.
Did it perfectly. I think my favorite, it wins both sides of it. Favorite portrayal and character arc was Charles Dance as Tywin Lannister.
Oh, okay.
Crushed it.
Yeah,
Tywin Lannister, the coolest character because he was so matter of fact.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I think he even said something along the lines of like, he doesn't hate Robb Stark or anything. It's just, this is how it goes.
Yeah.
He doesn't hold malice towards anyone. It's just...
No, it's not, I hate you as a person. It's more of like, you are the enemy and I'm going to destroy you because like my family's more powerful. I want us to keep going and I want us to be feared and respected.
And it oftentimes was just the absolute tightrope walk that he did with style of walking between, I'm doing this because it's necessary and I'm doing this to flex on you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you come from the family with the most fuck you money,
you kind of get to do whatever.
Yeah.
And but I mean, he didn't have fuck you money. He made the fuck you money himself.
Yeah.
Like everything was self-made, so that's why he was so intense. And yeah, you can hate him for being so intense with his kids about...
Well, I don't know about self-made. Like, it also, he came from that family.
Yeah, but like his dad pretty much threw all the money away. Like
he was he built the house back up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, he
like-
made it what it was.
Yeah, he made House Lannister a name again.
Yeah.
Because it used to be like the phrase, like where they were nothing.
Yeah.
Like Walder Frey was made fun of because he's useless.
Yeah. And as far as portrayal goes, Charles Dance did such a good. No one could have played that.
A menacing stare,
Yeah.
a powerful stare, and the perfect image will always be him sitting in the Iron Throne, just chilling.
Yeah.
Like if I could get 8 seasons of him as king, absolutely I'd be in for that ride because he was so good. And like, yeah, he only got half of the series.
Yeah.
But when he was in it, he was such a great character where it was like, I want more scenes with Tywin.
He was
Like,
such a huge presence on screen, and then like you could feel
everything was influenced by him.
just the way he portrayed it too. Like you could feel it ripple out through the rest of the show. And in the way he portrayed the character, stuff like his body language, his tone of voice, the way he worded things, and I know that comes down to the writing too, but writing isn't shit unless the actor portrays it well.
And he's got the perfect voice for it.
Yeah, so just the way he would like send the king off to bed, or like someone would try and stand up to him and he would just stare at him.
Yeah, he wouldn't even have to say anything. It
Yeah.
would just be like are you sure you want to be doing this right now?
Yeah. And at that point, they'd either like try and stand up, get killed, or they would immediately cower, shit themselves, and back down.
And also the fact that like the lineage that had been kings for like centuries just going forward, he was the person that put that to an end.
Yeah.
Like the only reason the Targaryens are no longer in power is because of Tywin. Like that's fuck you just in itself.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows who he is, and I loved the scenes with him because everyone knew him kind of like by reputation.
Yeah.
And they would all either be afraid of him or they would try and kind of like match his level, but no one could do it.
Yeah. He was John Wick.
Yeah, he was the John Wick of Westeros.
Yeah.
But it was so great to have him on screen all the time because he stole the show, and it was like it always had to move up to him. Like no decision could get made unless he was in the scene as well.
Even the king.
Yeah, exactly. It would always have to go up to Tywin.
Yeah.
So he was the real power player, and to also have no money, but everyone still respects you because you give the illusion that you have money.
Yeah.
Just in name itself.
Yep.
Powerful.
Yeah. And I mean, just their colors, gold.
Yeah, exactly. The
It
Lannister
was-
shit gold.
Yeah.
Did he? I wonder if he did.
That's-
Like, did anyone check the pot
if
after?
there would have been an extended scene after Tyrion snuck into his bedroom.
Yeah,
get some
like-
late night goodies.
Yeah, like when they pulled the body, like they showed him in the Sept of Baelor.
Yeah.
Like, did anyone bother to like check the pot?
Yeah.
Like after they moved his body? Like,
Someone has to clean him up. They pull off his body. Oh God, that is fucking beautiful.
yeah, like someone pulls up the body and then like, because it's a known phrase around Westeros. So like the person moving the body, do you think they had that moment of, well, I mean, maybe just check?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't hurt to check. Plus, no one knew what diseases were then.
No.
In Westeros, they don't know what diseases are. They were digging in shit.
Fever took him.
Yeah, exactly.
He had cancer.
The fever, the big one.
Yeah, he had the big F. So, who were like your runner-up or like other favorites that we don't have to go off their entire thing through right now? But
Obviously, Kit Harington is Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Hot boy Kit Harington.
yeah, so hot.
And so good. So good at playing the challenged character in terms of like his morals at all times.
Yeah,
Emilia Clarke as Daenerys was also fantastic.
yeah, she did a great job.
Yeah, she did a great job throughout the entire series being like off her shit or like demanding and then powerful and then sensitive, and she really did all of that just with her eyebrows alone.
Yeah, it's honestly
it's
her
really
eyebrows did
just
most
the
of it.
eyebrows.
She's got it's like a little Ratatouille eyebrow thing. I think they're controlling the whole source.
So she's the host body, and the eyebrows they're the real mind.
Yeah.
I also really loved Jorah and oh my God, the Onion Knight.
Oh, Sir Davos.
Sir Davos. Yeah. Both of those portrayals and their characters were perfect to the end.
Yeah, I think Sir Davos was really, really good. I also like Arya. Come on, Arya's great.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised by how many of the actors in the show that was their first job.
Yeah. It's really unsettling that they all ended up being really good. Like, that's the thing. No one in the show was bad except Ed Sheeran.
Except Ed
Sheeran. Everything we say today, just take it with the clause of like, there's the little asterisk next to it, and then you can just write in except Ed Sheeran for everything we say.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really lucked out because everyone in the show was so good. It does not matter who. Everyone was so good. I cannot think of someone who I looked at in the show and was just like, oh, I'm realizing now that this is a show. Like, nothing took me out of it except Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at The Walking Dead or something like that, and they ended up with Carl for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And it just got worse and worse and worse. And it's like, yeah, you guys, I feel bad almost. Like, you guys got stuck with shit.
Yeah, but they didn't get Arya and then like find out, oh, she was just like a kid, so people let it go, and now she's an adult and they didn't let it. She just got really good.
Yeah. Even Bran with his creepy stares, like, good.
He was fine.
I like him.
I like
really
Bran
like him.
I like Bran as a character. I think the actor was maybe the weakest of all of them.
I don't know. I really liked young Bran. Like, he kind of had that arrogance to him, and then when they were going in Beyond the Wall and everything, just that level of kind of torn between his two worlds. I think he did that so well. And then I just think at the end, like, how do you portray that?
I know.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
There's just no way. Like, how do you... Plus, I think he had the look down. Like,
The stare?
End of episode 1, when, like, he's just staring at Jamie.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that
episode
shit.
1 of season 8.
Yeah, episode 1 of season 8.
He's just looking at him. Then Jamie's like, oh, fuck.
Hey.
How you doing, sport? Hey, slugger. Just gives him a little pat.
Yeah, give him a little pat on the back, like, yep. I'm gonna... Pretty cold.
Yeah.
Is there hot cocoa inside? You want some?
Yeah, and then breaks his chair so he can't tell on him.
Yeah.
Sorry about this, kid.
Sorry, kid.
Things we do for love.
The one thing that I think we got to get ahead of right away is, are we going to talk about how Rob and Aaron got hot?
Do you want to talk about how Rob and Aaron got hot?
Rob and Aaron got hot.
Yeah, I did.
He got really hot.
Yeah.
Something's in that titty milk.
Yeah, that's why she fed him for so long.
Because she knew that he was going to grow to be a beautiful boy.
Yeah, he was destined to be ugly until he sucked that titty for that last final time.
But how? He looked like such a sickly, weird kid last we saw him. And then to come back just 2 years later, and it's like, something's not adding up.
Yeah.
Did they? No, he wasn't replaced. That's not a new actor. It's, I was very conflicted. Because I was never rooting for him. But then all of a sudden it's like, well, I mean, if we had a hot king, I wouldn't mind.
So you wanted him to be king?
Well, just so Westeros could have a hot king.
Okay.
You know? Like, Joffrey, no.
Yeah.
Tommen, he's boy band cute.
Holy shit, that was a good way to put that.
Exactly. But, like, then to get a hot king, like, I'm talking just superstar levels, like Brad Pitt levels.
Okay, I don't know if he's that level.
I'm saying he could have been...
He got decent looking.
He could have been Westeros' next superstar.
Okay.
There's potential.
Okay.
I'd like to explore that a bit more. Also, everything we say is We're getting an R&D team on it, a D&D team on it.
Yeah.
You could say.
Yeah. Then I wouldn't watch it because bad.
Bad.
So let's just kind of get back and let's start. I guess sort of towards the beginning with just some questions of things, because every season before the new season, I would rewatch every previous one just to get like re-caught up, because there's always stuff you find. And this time I wanted to pick out things that I hadn't really noticed before, because there's always new things, but like stuff that kind of stuck out. Like, you know when Benjen comes to the feast in season 1? Mm-hmm. Are they allowed to leave the Night's Watch for any reason?
I think the Night's Watch is so just completely in shambles that it does not fucking matter.
Because it was once a massive thing, right?
Yeah. But then I think as it just became like, oh, it's just all the like criminals get sent here.
Right.
Then it just kind of became like, we're playing it hard and fast with the rules. Like, nothing really matters. Also, he was first ranger.
That's true. It just never happens again in the show, so I didn't know if anyone was allowed to leave.
They do get to go to, like in the later seasons, when Sam sends Gilly to, God, I forget the town name.
Oh, Oldstown? Or Molestown?
Yeah, it's like Molestown.
Yeah.
Members of the Night's Watch are there as well, because they kind of make the reference of like, oh, well, none of the Night's Watchmen actually keep their vows. They just go to Molestown and they sleep with people and they drink and
I thought that was always
whatever.
sneaking off, though.
Sneaking off.
Okay.
It's like an open secret. Like everyone knows they were doing it, and I'm sure Jor Mormont knew as well.
Don't get caught. No one's gonna narc.
Yeah, exactly. Like as long as
don't say shit. But if an upper level one sees you, then you're gonna get
if the Lord Commander like sees you leaving, he'll probably reprimand you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Also, John was pretty fast and loose with his Night's Watch vows.
Yeah, when he ate that pussy.
Okay. Separate train here, just for a moment.
Okay, yeah, we'll take a little derail here.
Jon Snow literally invented eating pussy.
Yeah, he did.
Jon Snow invented that shit.
Yeah.
Like, if we gave him 3 more months with Ygritte, he would have invented eating ass. No one would have ever thought of it in Westeros, and he would have just been like, I just kind of wanted to kiss you down there.
Yeah.
King.
Well, because
that's my true king.
Someone king eats ass.
The person who invented eating pussy is the true king. I don't want to hear any arguments against.
Yeah, they should have crowned him right there.
Exactly. It should have, if the show had good writers.
Oh, but yeah.
They would have just, Ygritte holds no power over that, but she would have given him a crown right there. Mm-hmm. She would have just been like, you're the true King Jon Snow. Yeah. And that would have been it. Because at the end, they should have made the case for Jon when he was in shackles that, well, who should be king? Then Bran should have stood up. Okay? Bran should have stood up and then said, Jon invented eating pussy. Guys.
I saw it with my third eye and it was good.
Yeah, he was like, I saw it in my third eye. It was a cave. It was romantic. It was sexy. He invented. And then they were all like, wait, what's eating pussy? And then he explains it to them. And then they're like, that is a brave man who can take Westeros into bold new territories where we have not gone before.
Yeah, which is down there.
Which is, down.
Yeah. So one of the things about Bran is that throughout the show, not throughout, but like once he becomes the Three-Eyed Raven and people want to talk to him, I just wish he would explain what was going on, because it's always like, oh, Bran, what happened to you? But I'm not really. Yeah. Or I became the Three-Eyed Raven. But
is
he doesn't
Bran
explain.
Played by Kit Harington now?
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. He actually plays every character.
Yeah, in that rewrite with the good writers, it's going to be
all Kit Harington.
All Kit Harington. Yeah. So why? And this is haha, it's funny. But seriously, why doesn't he explain that ever? Or is it like an implied? Because it's just like, I'm the Three-Eyed Raven now. Sick. You have anything else? Like, it's like that awkward. Why didn't he explain it? Because I feel like people could have understood more, or was it just implied that they were told off screen?
I think the only implication was that Tyrion was told off screen, and that's about everyone else just knew that Bran was not Bran. I don't think anyone pressed him on it. Okay. I do not think Sansa pressed him on it too hard. I think once he proved it to her and Arya, they were both just like, whoa, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think of how cryptic the old Three-Eyed Raven talked too, though.
That's true. But I feel like it's not only him that's cryptic. Like, there's a lot of, like, when I think Arya was talking to Jon. I don't remember who it was, but they were like, how did you survive a knife to the heart? I didn't.
Yeah.
Cool.
Although I think in that one, because they talked about multiple times in season 8 how he came back from the dead, like, I think it started, I liked to imagine in my own head canon that soldiers started talking about it, and then the story just got kind of like, I mean, how does it get any more overhyped than he literally came back from the dead?
Yeah.
Like, he was dead, and now he's not. So, like, I think he told Sansa, and, like, the Night's Watch and the Wildlings had spread the rumor around to where it kind of became, like, this built-up, like, hero story about Jon.
Yeah.
Because Tormund was talking about it at the feast, too, where it's like, they talked about, and, I mean, Davos brought it up to Daenerys in Season 7. So I think it just became, like, this story that got out of control, and then all the Northerners talked about it, like, our king in the north, like, our king came back from the dead.
Okay. Because it was such a cool moment for everyone watching, that I just wanted to be sure that every motherfucker knew that he was dope and he came back from the dead.
That he came back from the dead, which was probably the most stressful year of my life.
Yep.
That was... It was a year filled with, like, I remembered that I would be, like, on weird Reddit threads and, like, in weird corners of the internet that were, like, picking frames out of the show and then, like, picking passages out of the books, and then I'd send them to you, like, no, he can't be dead, because if he's dead, then how would this happen? Or what about this thing? Like, maybe he'll come back and this will happen. And, like, the big one was the Red Woman had just gotten to Castle Black,
right?
So maybe there's something there,
right?
But we had never seen her bring someone back to life before,
right? Because it was always, but we had seen other Red Priests do it. We'd
only seen the one, like, we had seen it with Beric.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's another thing about the show is there's however many gods and the old gods and the new gods and everything. The only one that ever showed that they existed was the Lord of Light.
And the old gods with the Three-Eyed Raven.
Oh, is that
because
what the old
gods? Because the gods would trees.
I thought that was more of a Children of the Forest thing.
Well, those are kind of like the old god, like, I don't know how to describe
of the old gods.
Yeah, I don't know how to describe religions, but, like, the Three-Eyed Raven is essentially an old god because it's heavily based around, like, the godswood trees and the weirwoods. So I took that as, like, mostly powers that came before the first men. Like, the old gods weren't, like, old gods, like, didn't really have, like, influence in the way that the Lord of Light does.
Right.
Like,
because
we saw the powers of the old gods, which is essentially, like, that there were wargs, like, humans that had, like, a genetic trait passed down from their ancestors that were, like, kind of superhuman abilities. But then the Lord of Light was, like, the only influential one.
Right.
And it was very interesting to kind of look at the series. Like, if you look at the entire series from the perspective of, like, the Lord of Light versus the Night King, or, like, the Lord of Light trying to, like, course correct Westeros. Like, just kind of, like, putting pieces into place.
Yeah.
Like, because that's kind of what I interpreted it as, was like, there wasn't much like kind of free will going on there. It was mostly like, we're course correcting, and this is everything that needs to happen in order for this to go down.
Even if it's like someone dies. Nope, not yet.
Exactly. Like, so when it's major players like that, like with Barrick, like his purpose was to protect Arya that one time.
Yeah.
So she could kill the Night King.
Right. Because everyone else there at the Battle of Winterfell had their own part to play.
Exactly. So like people have more major roles to play. Like Jon, obviously, like had probably the most important role to play.
Yeah.
I don't know if Daenerys was more so like, I feel like Daenerys was fighting against the Lord of Light in a way.
Do you think so?
I feel like it might have been like everything was maybe in the beginning or something. It had looked like, okay, maybe she'll end up on the throne or something, or maybe she can kind of correct this on her own. And then maybe towards the end, it was like, okay, we got to course correct to get rid of her.
Well, I think that's why Jon came back. Because, I mean, Jon did some stuff during the Battle of Winterfell, but he didn't do the thing.
He didn't do the damn thing, but
he did. But he had to bring all the wildlings.
He had to bring the wildlings. He had to
that
bring
was
the
like
Night's
his role
Watch.
almost.
He had to unite the North. He had to
Yeah.
get the South. Like, he had to get Daenerys and the dragons.
Yeah.
Like, his was probably the most integral role.
That's true. That's true. That's true. But I also think that
because of the prophecy.
I also think that his role was after Dany had done her usefulness, he had to be the one to kill her.
Yeah.
If we're looking at it as some sort of puppet master doing the entire thing.
Because that's what the prophet, like, it followed the prophecy, like, so well that it's like, it has to be influenced in this way, because it was even, it was the whole Azor Ahai had to, like, put the knife through the heart of his wife, Nisa, to, like, and then pulled out a burning sword and, like, saved the realm with it. So it's kind of like, it follows it so much where it's like, okay, this almost just feels like everyone was a little puppet.
Right. What if her role to play was tearing down the seat of power, essentially? Like, what if, we're going to lose a lot, but we need to build new, and the only way to build new is to, like, burn out the cancer.
Yeah,
And
so maybe
you're
she
gonna get
was
some skin with that, or
yeah.
whatever.
So maybe she was being used as like a way to like, get rid of that system in place.
Right.
Like she was essential to get rid of that system in place, but then she could not be trusted with that.
Right. She had the temperament and means to completely, basically level the city.
Oh, and she did.
Oh, and boy, did she.
Boy, howdy, did she wreck shit. You know what? Mad respect.
I honestly got to give it to you. The balls.
The bravery that takes to just be like, nah, I think I'll burn it.
Yeah, because that's
astounding.
So yeah, let's just shift into that. So Cersei had done a lot of planning, like, oh, I know my enemy. I know what will and won't do. The one thing she hadn't accounted for is she's going to fucking destroy it all.
Yeah, I think, and I loved that essentially in Cersei's last moments, like when she had to leave the Red Keep, it was, oh shit, I had everything that I had set up was banking on her not leveling the city.
Yeah.
Like, I
had planned for everything except this. I had planned for sea attack. I had planned for air attacks. I'd planned for everything except for this.
Exactly. And it was purely, well, I just invited all the citizens in here. Like, you won't do anything. Mm-hmm. You're the good queen that everyone loves. Yeah. Like, you won't do it. Yeah. And then as soon as she saw Dany just fucking tearing up the city, that's the only word that can be used, is just tearing that shit up.
Yeah.
Then the facade faded as like, I don't hold true power. She does.
Yeah.
Like,
she held on to her
Her name. That was all that it was.
But
it was her namesake forever.
She kept, like, even though she was cracking, she kept her back straight and, like, face pretty concealed for a long time. Like, she didn't show that, like, oh boy, I think I'm fucked.
Yeah, no, because she had, like, gotten by. She had skated by so easily.
That's the
like,
thing.
before.
Cersei had never faced consequences before. Yes, I know she lost her children.
And I don't know, being paraded through the city with shit thrown at you, being imprisoned and tortured for a couple months.
She got back at him pretty.
She got back at him pretty fucking good, but I'd say that's a pretty good consequence.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
That aside.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yes, I was wrong on that. She did get that one consequence, and like the kids dying, which sounds really big, but she always got back 10 times over.
Yeah. It's because she was relentless. Like, she was ruthless.
Right.
It was because she did not care what people thought of her.
Yeah.
Like, once she kind of accepted, like, I don't care what people think of me, then it was game over for all the other lords of Westeros because they could not match that. And the only one that could match that would be Drogon and Dany tearing up the city.
Right. And I think the thing that she really had with this is because every other, like, you know, doing the walk through the streets, she knew once this is over, I'm getting them. But when Dany was burning down the city, burning the Red Keep, she saw it happening, knew she couldn't. There's no counterattack. Right. It was, I know. Well, we have the Iron Fleet. They're gone. Well, we have all the Scorpions. They're all destroyed. Then she was like, oh shit, I also can't fight back.
Yeah, I do not have a dragon. I have nothing to personally like defend myself with.
Yeah. So that was a really cool. It was an interesting spot to see Cersei in because that she hadn't before, and we had to see her really go, fuck.
Also, the thing that I loved most about that episode was about halfway through, Dany was no longer a character. We didn't see her face or anything. We didn't see her up close. It was all she was a death machine from above.
Yeah.
Like, she was no longer like personalized or anything.
Yeah.
Like, it was just from the streets. Like,
yeah,
there's
Arya kind of going through the streets and stuff.
There's no attachment to Dany. She is just the death machine above, and I loved that. I loved how we didn't see her like scrunching her face and like burning it down. Like, maybe the emotional.
It became
turmoil.
a monster movie.
Exactly. It was just the monster that you don't ever see. Like, you catch little glimpses of.
Yeah,
I loved that. I loved their two like ventures into horror this season.
Yeah.
Like, Arya in the library, and then that moment with Drogon. I loved those little horror moments.
Yeah, which was also like I loved how in that episode we see the sort of people's perspective from Arya. Like, what a good character to have for that, because she's
loves
everyone.
Arya.
She's the girl with no face. She's and everyone loves her, so everyone's going to be fearing for her because it was a moment like, oh shit, she kind of did what she was supposed to do. Fuck, she could go.
Yeah, it was really like, that's what was so, the entire series was so tense. Like, that's a good kind of thing, is the entire series is so tense. Like, I've never watched any show like so, like, when I watch Game of Thrones for the first time, it's always like, I'm holding my breath, and then I don't even realize that I like haven't breathed, I haven't like drank anything or like done anything for an hour. I've just been like clutching myself for an hour, and then when I finally see like the credits start, then it's like,
yeah. Because even in season 1, it has this really, really fantastic way of having like that kind of like tension snowball just keep getting bigger as it rolls. So it's like you see one thing happen and you're like, uh-oh, and then it just becomes a Rube Goldberg machine that you see all these different players coming
It
in.
becomes
until
a Katamari.
It becomes a Katamari ball.
It just picks everything up.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, Ned Stark is in the streets surrounded by Lannister soldiers and everyone's, got their own side. And you're like, oh God. And I've never had a show where I literally like stopped breathing for parts of it or where I would stand up and like just take a breath. Like, you know what I mean? Where we'd stand up and you'd be like, oh God. Whew, I just gotta stretch those lungs out here.
And also like if it's really tense, like I need to like move around and like kick around and just be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like it's the most tense fucking show ever.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that moment of like, oh, this is like really, really tense was, I think it's gotta be when Renly was assassinated. Like that was the first time in the series where I was just like aware of like, oh God, what does this all mean?
Yeah.
Like the Red Woman genuinely like does possess magic.
Yep.
And
because that was the first time that we had truly seen her not just talk nonsense.
Exactly. Like she genuinely possesses magic and that Stannis had committed like murder against his brother, like he had planned it. And then it meant also that, okay, like they're actually moving forward with a plan to like attack King's Landing.
Yeah.
And this is going to happen. But wait, that means Tyrion is in King's Landing and Tyrion is a part of the Old Guard. So they'd kill him.
Yeah.
Also, Varys is there and Sansa's there. So it's like, oh fuck, like there's so many like surrounding dangers.
That's one of the other things is that this cast is so huge and like the amount of characters that you either know in pretty good depth and care about is so huge and they're on every side of the board.
Yeah.
So once the plan for this, what Sir Davos and Tyrion, oh God, they're going to be on opposite sides of this army during a war. Shit, I love both of them.
Yeah. It's so tough because you're rooting for everyone simultaneously. You're like, maybe we can all be friends.
Yeah. You know how in the beginning there's like so many characters and there's like 8 different sides they could be on, and then by the end it's like there's a lot less characters and then especially a lot less ones that you really care about, and it's kind of they're on one side or the other. Like by the last season, it's like there's 1, 2, maybe like a smaller third side or whatever. It's like it's really interesting how the show just starts off on like this really macro level, showing here's everyone and all these different things, and it's all this political strife, and it's basically just a camera like slowly pulling back from this scene until it's the last couple episodes of like, now instead of all these stupid political maneuvers and you got to do this and that and this
we're
and
on
that,
like a very
now
large scale, like boom, boom
like literally
boom.
living versus dead.
Yeah.
And then Dany versus Cersei.
Yeah.
And like it pulls back to such a not even black and white though.
Like
it's not a black and white show in terms of like good guy, bad guy.
No one was like textbook good guy. Like
no.
Because I mean,
except for Sam.
Mostly because he was a pussy. Let's just like, come on, let's call a spade a spade. Like,
he was a big fat. He was just pussyfooting around the Night's Watch.
Exactly. That like if John would not have been there, Sam would be dead.
Yeah,
super dead. Mm-hmm. Like even John, like yes, he remained like loyal to the Night's Watch, but there were those moments in like season 2 and 3 when you were like, oh, he's into the wildlings. Like he likes the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like he's like, it's no longer just a kind of like seek and destroy mission or like implement yourself there and then bring that knowledge to Castle Black, like find out what they're doing. It became like, okay, I did that, but I really respect Mance Rayder and I respect these wildling tribes because at the end of the day, they are us as well. They were just born on the wrong side of this wall. Like,
and I think
they just want to survive the winter too.
I think even though he is always like really respectful around higher ups and he comes from a family that's a noble family. I think he likes we're all on level playing field.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is just everyone. There's not a hierarchy. I mean, there is a little bit, but like, it's not, oh, well, you're a bastard. It's like, no one cares.
And I loved getting John's view of the wildlings as well, because it was so perfect with how kind of like he talked about how he was raised, and then seeing this other way of life where no, there's no like royal families where there's big feasts or anything. Like, it's just kind of everyone is in a tribe together, and they all like live and eat together and everything. And what I loved especially about the show was you kind of realize slowly, like not until like season 6 do you realize, oh, this is Jon Snow's like show. Like,
right.
This is his show.
Yeah.
Like, even then it doesn't become his show, but it like he is the main player by the end of it.
Yeah. I mean,
like, he is the connector to everyone. Like, everyone's got the connection through him.
Yeah. I think, he's the
greatest networker of all time.
Yeah, dude, his LinkedIn profile's hopping.
If he worked for Amway, he would be a top 1%er.
Yeah, 100%.
His network, unbelievable. He could sell sports drinks to anyone because they all love him.
Mm-hmm.
I did love having him as like the guide throughout the show of like kind of what it was really about. Like, yeah, you take like all these really interesting like political scenes, but then you just get kind of they should have just called it Down and Dirty with Jon Snow. Like,
Down
that should
and
be
Dirty, the Jon Snow experience.
Exactly. It should have just been called that, because I just loved the idea for his character, and like just I think we all fell in love with who he was as a person, where it was you started realizing that like he does not want these positions that are thrown at him.
He doesn't
like,
want anything that's ever given to him.
No, and it's not even like he's got a choice either. No. It's just, you are this now, and he's, oh, okay, I can do that. Sweet, now you're this. Please, let's end it here.
Please no.
Let's end it here. Oh, but now you have to lead us into battle to take back your home. It wasn't even really my home, guys.
Really, it's cool. They can have it.
Really, I don't want it.
You're
the king in the north. Please, I'm begging you, let it stop here.
I need to leave immediately after this so that I can go get help for it. No, you're the king in the north. Why would you bow to her, king in the north?
Yeah, and then
we chose you.
I didn't want it. And then finally, when he thinks he cannot ascend any higher, you are actually Aegon Targaryen VI, rightful heir to the Iron Throne. And he's like, God, I'm not surprised.
No.
I'm not. But am I still disappointed? Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's his entire life could be summed up by not surprised, but ultimately disappointed at every single turn.
Which is why, if we're gonna follow John's little line here down to literally the last scene of the entire show, and he's walking out, went back to the Night's Watch, and he's walking out with all the wildlings.
Beautiful scene, by the way.
Beautiful scene. I don't think he came back, dog. I'm pretty sure he's gone.
He got made Lord Commander again.
I know.
And then ditched. That's what I love, is like, we're exiling you to the Night's Watch, where you will be the Lord Commander.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I've already done it once.
So here's the thing, though, is like, I just think it'd be funny if he weren't.
Yeah.
If you get in the training pits, a new recruit.
Yeah. But I mean, we saw him like, because I had that question of like, he was Lord Commander, right? Like, he's got to be. But then it was like, you saw him like with the cloak. Mm-hmm. You saw him like cross that bridge, and he was in a room before he was in that bridge. And they've shown that exact bridge before, and that leads into the Lord Commander's quarters.
Yeah.
So he was Lord Commander again. But I think it was, we're exiling Jon to the Night's Watch. And then Jon was like, there's still a Night's Watch. Shh. You're exiled to the Night's Watch.
Yeah.
And he's like, why are you blinking like that?
Could you speak plainly?
Yeah, exactly.
Speak hard and true.
And I don't think he came back either.
No,
I think he escorted them north, and maybe he stops into Castle Black every now and again.
Yeah, he just grabs a hot chocolate with the boys.
Yeah, just to see what's up, make sure that everything's running smooth.
But no one ever had gotten a double life sentence before.
Yeah. They really had to invent new rules for him as they went along. And that was the dopest scene in season 6. I think it was like episode 3, where he like fucking throws Ed the cloak and he's just like, keep it, burn it, I don't care. And then he walks out and just says, my watch has ended.
Yes.
And then it credits. And it was just that moment of, he's kind of right.
Yeah, like he died.
He did die. That's undisputable.
Yeah.
So is his? Yeah, I think he got off on a technicality there.
Yeah.
Like I think the court was probably like, wait, you can't. You have to give your life to the. Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh. And then they had to like look at the rule book or something.
Yeah. What's that like that Star Trek phrase or whatever? Like the one that's like you won an unwinnable situation by changing the rules.
Oh, God, I don't fucking know. I don't know anything about Star Trek.
I don't know either.
This isn't a Star Trek spoiler cast. Tori, please.
I just know it's from. Okay, jeez.
Please stay on track.
I thought.
Now back to the big question. Are we going to talk about how Rob and Aaron got hot?
Yeah, I was going to say you went on 10 minutes for that shit. So one of the other characters who is a good character, not in terms of morally, but just in terms of seeing the arc in who they were, is Theon. Another one who I think also like portrayed well, because
Alfie.
I
think he's actually dead.
yeah
I think they actually killed him.
Yeah.
Because they knew it'd be a bigger emotional hit. It really was.
they want to get the real emotions from the cast and crew.
Yeah. Like
So they murdered him right there. They iced him in front of everyone.
it really was like, I think he went through probably the most dramatic like character changes in terms of like how the audience was meant to feel about him.
Right.
Like in any medium ever. Like no one has ever gone from like just kind of a entitled prick, and like whiny to
Yeah.
like, I hate this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, I hate him. Good. I'm glad he's being tortured. He deserves this. But then it got so severe where it was like, oh, I kind of feel
just kill him.
like I kind of feel bad.
Yeah.
And then he started doing little things like little by little, like they really took their time with him where it was
Yeah.
like little by little you started to be like, you know what? Yeah, like I hope he gets out of this. Maybe he dies, but has maybe a redemption or something.
Yeah.
But by the end, they gave him a full-blown, like, John's speech to him when they were at Dragonstone at the end of season 7 was perfect.
Yeah.
That whole, like, you don't have to choose between Greyjoy and Stark. Like, you've lived your whole life. You say you've lived your whole life conflicted with this. Don't be conflicted. You're both.
Yeah.
Like, I forgive you for everything I can forgive you for. You're forgiven. Go do what's right now. That's all you have to do.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to just sit and hold all of the sins you made because you paid for them.
Yeah, like, I'm not going to hold your hand either. Like, you are your own person. Go be that person and do what you think is right.
And it wasn't just that they took a character, made you hate him so much for turning on Rob, and they didn't just, like, kind of hurt him. They didn't just kill him. Like, they didn't even just bring him to his knees.
They butchered him.
They butchered him and they made him a literal, like, Stockholm slave.
It was incredible what they did with his character and just how they were able to bring him back.
Yeah.
Like, it was, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved Theon's character. I thought he got, like, a proper, like, ending with the Stark pin being put on him. That son of a bitch hurt. Like, watching Sansa put the pin on him was just like, oh, God, you really had to stab me one last time with him, didn't ya?
Yeah. And I think, I mean, it was cool that they didn't completely get rid of that part of him. Like, it wasn't like, oh, now he's back and better than ever. He still, like, had that moment when Yara was taken and he saw the people burning and being, like, cut up and tortured by the Greyjoy, like by Euron's men, that he
Ramsay didn't leave him unaffected.
no, like he had like a PTSD flashback, and like he had to escape. Like, he like physically couldn't handle it and just like completely shut down and ran away.
Yeah.
And people like, that's one of the things I saw people complain about when that season was on. And it's like, yo, do you remember what happened to him?
Yeah, it's really like
We only saw like 1/1000th of what happened to him while he was being tortured, like on screen. He was tortured day in, day out for how long? Like over a year?
Over a year.
Yeah.
Like he was on the like he was staked to that thing for like months.
Yeah.
God, I'm trying to think of what are some story points that we want to hit.
Well, actually, quickly before that, I think with Theon's arc, it can't be denied that part of what made his arc so good was Ramsay Snow.
God, yeah. Fuck. He was so good. What was his name? Like Ewan Rion or something?
Yeah.
So fucking menacing.
I don't understand their casting directors. So phenomenal. But what
drug did they give him before he was on screen?
Because this character you hated so much, he made you think that was a sympathetic character because he was that bad. And just he had that really good thing of like, why are you making me do this to you?
He was the expert gaslighter.
Yeah.
And I think he's the best villain that they had, just in terms of not like what he did and like his whole like grand scheme.
Yeah.
Like the best villain in terms of just evil.
Yes.
Like pure evil. Like you thought they nailed it with Joffrey. Like this is the most evil character that's ever existed.
Yeah.
And then you give that to someone who's a little bit smarter and has more of like a means to do things and just kind of is more so because he doesn't have to be king. He can just kind of do whatever. Like he takes greater joy in being horrible.
Yeah.
And then to just like contrast that with Jon and then put them in a battle, but then it really wasn't either of them won. It was just kind of like a technicality of, yeah, Sansa thought ahead.
Yeah,
Like,
she went and got more.
Yeah, she went and got more. She was the hero of this, but just that moment where they're staring off with each other, like Battle of the Bastards was just so intense, I think, because one, it's a fantastically shot battle.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's
then
incredible.
Just like the entire time, it's not like, oh, Bolton's versus Jon trying to get back his home and like Sansa like kind of pressuring Jon like, no, you need to, like, we have to be in Winterfell again. It's our home.
Yeah.
It's just the like stare off between Ramsay and Jon just across, and then Ramsay doing just the last cruel thing with killing Rickon. R.I.P. Rickon.
Was my favorite character, but
Gone but not forgotten.
forgotten but not gone. Yeah.
Yeah, that really was him. Like when he finally showed up, it was, oh yeah, there's another Stark.
Yeah.
Forgot about him.
Yeah. You can have him.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's our least favorite Stark. Kill him.
And if it was anyone but Jon, who's just the most morally upstanding one of the bunch,
Sansa would have seen that and been like, well, no, she even did. She was like, Rickon's dead.
Yeah.
We have to accept that.
Yeah.
Like, we're not getting Rickon back.
She's like, if I'm being completely honest with you, between us, I didn't really care.
Okay, Jon, this is going to sound so bad, okay?
But do you remember Rickon? Who?
Jon, like, are we really that mad? Like, I know he's our brother and everything, but like, is he? Did we like know him? Like, who is this guy? Right? Like, he just thinks he can be a Stark. He's not in our friend group.
I haven't seen him in like 8 years. That could just be any curly-headed fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Like, can we verify that that's him? We have no idea. No, they did put the direwolf head.
Do you have a horseman's license or anything on you that I could check out quick? Do you have your birth scroll here so I can take a quick peek at that, please?
Do you have like a stamp of approval from like a maester, from Maester Lewin?
Yeah.
Fuck, that was a tragic one too.
Maester Lewin? Yeah.
Maester Lewin was a hard one.
Yep.
Because
that's the thing is, like, if we're talking about the show, is that it's so focused on what character you're seeing at the time, as like, this is my person guiding me through this section of the show. This is the person guiding me through here. So I think as we are touching on story points, it's going to revolve around this character. You know what I mean? Like this character in their arc.
And I do just love that writing style of we as the audience only know more because we saw it through someone else's perspective, not a third person, like omnipresent, like we don't know anything larger than what's happening in the immediate vicinity of like our characters.
Yeah.
Like our tour guides are the only reason that we know what's going on. So if we were completely detached from one of those people, like we just don't know what's going on then.
And even when it's like one of the quote unquote detached ones where it's like, oh, someone saw something when that character left or they overheard that or whatever. Well, you're seeing that through Varys' eyes at that point.
Yeah.
If it's like someone who sees something and reports it, it's either Varys or Littlefinger. And you're still seeing it through their perspective.
And I just love that writing style where it's not like we're showing this to you, the audience. It's more of the audience gets to
They're sitting in the
follow
room.
these people.
Yep.
Yeah, we're sitting in the room. We're not like, oh, we know everything and we can see how this is playing out. I love tracking just the characters.
Yeah.
Like being able to follow someone. And I think that's what makes you so attached to them is
definitely.
Because everything is experienced through them.
And that's why, like, when you see how well-rounded all the characters are, too, it's like, Jamie. Jamie really had, like, he had quite a bit of a turn in, like, oh, look at this fucking pretty boy. Thinks he's hot shit. To being...
He was pretty.
He still is.
Yeah.
To being so broken down. And so let's talk about Jamie and Brienne's sort of relationship, right?
Yeah. Relationship.
Not like romantic relationship,
Yeah, just
but not that.
Yeah.
Because they had such a weird understanding with each other. And I think where did it exactly come from? Why did they have that connection?
I mean, it's got to be like she hated him.
Yeah.
Until he specifically like saved her from the Bolton men.
Yeah.
Like, and then she saw a glimmer of like, oh, he can do nice things. And she just kind of like thanked him. But then the real one was like when she was fighting the bear, which is objectively the weirdest thing in Game of Thrones.
That was a pretty strange one.
That was a very strange.
It was the bear and the maiden fair.
Yeah, it was. That is its own episode for sure.
Yeah.
But then when he finds out that they're just gonna kill her, then it's no, I'm going back because as like this person was my captor, but showed me enough kindness and like I could kind of relate to them in terms of like what's expected of us versus what we are, and then went back, saved her, basically flexing Tywin Lannister's name.
You don't think it was a sort of inherent, like they had sort of an inherent kind of connection with each other?
I think they
I think there was some level of at least almost like a professional respect that each of them had from the beginning, but they were trying to like she was, I'm gonna complete my duty and I don't care. Like
I think
I'm not
he
gonna
just
deal with your
admired,
shit.
like she knew him by name as like, you know, the man without honor,
Right.
like, Oathbreaker, Kingslayer. And then she, like, once he explained it to her that like he kept an oath to the 7 kingdoms, not just to that one person. Then she saw the alternate side of it and he saw her as like, you're interesting because all of the knights I know aren't like you in terms of like you uphold your duty to the highest like standard possible.
Right. You're
like,
not just reckless with your oaths.
Yeah, like you take it upon yourself. Like you really live that life, whereas everyone else just kind of talks it.
Even if she knows that completing that duty is a bit of like a zero-sum game. Like she's not really going to get anything from it, but I said I would, so I'm going to.
Yeah, it's the kind of the same thing with John's speech in the Dragon Pit season 7. Like if people start lying to each other, then words mean nothing.
Yeah.
Like then we can't speak to each other because it just means nothing then. Like if we're all lying.
And I think as it progresses, their relationship is just really, really interesting because Jaime had been vulnerable with Cersei, but also kind of not in the same way.
He was vulnerable in the sense of, I don't care if people see us together fucking, even though
He always
related.
kind of did, though.
He always kind of did, but then...
She was the one who was like, I have the power. What are they going to say? I'll kill him.
But, I mean, he
did push a little kid out of a window.
He did push a kid out of a window, and he did push himself into her in the Sept of Baelor over Joffrey's body. They did fuck next to their dead kid. I'm just gonna put it out there.
I'm gonna
put it out there
right now.
We all knew during that scene, like, yeah, they fucking next to their dead kid.
Mm-hmm. Did they get him in the mix? Who knows? The world may never know. It's like how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
I don't want to. Maybe that's why they cut it early. I'm glad they did. That's one
Rigor
thing
mortis set in. Quick, form his hand. Oofda. Okay. But they, like I was saying, they had such a unique understanding with each other and this respect for each other, and it did become a sort of I love you, but it really can't be.
Not really a romantic love.
But
I never
also
saw them as like a romantic love. It was just so much
either.
like...
But I think it was not a romantic love, but it also wasn't completely divorced from romance altogether. I think they did. It's hard to describe.
Yeah.
But I think they showed it in a really good way.
They showed it in a good way, and I don't even know how to describe it. And I think it's because Gwendolyn Christie's acting was so top-notch.
But can we agree that maybe the worst scream in history? It's maybe the most obnoxious thing I've ever heard.
What? I mean, I'm sure the crew, like, filming it was just like, she's getting real. You know what? It's a great performance. Like, let's just let her get, like, she's getting into this.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
then it's just like listening to it is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because
it's like, you're great, but your voice, it's just your voice that I hate it. Can we get some ADR? Can we get someone to kind of do this over again?
It's intense. It's very intense
but
horrible.
Yeah, very good performance. Yeah, it's a horrible scream, but great performance.
It's blood curdling.
It's just a nightmare to listen to. Honestly, it's like being stabbed in the ears repeatedly. But great performance.
Oh God, just fantastic, phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Also, please do go ahead.
Well, we're just taking a quick derail to point out things that are funny in the show. How when in the early episodes when they're setting everything up and how some of the exposition is so seamlessly slotted in there, and some of it is like when Jaime walks up to Cersei as John Aaron's laying on the bed, dead with the rocks over his eyes, and he walks up and goes, "As your brother, I feel it's my duty to tell you need to stop worrying so much." It's like, ooh, did you just walk up and say, "As your brother"? Really?
Yeah.
But then there's other ones where, like, the king arrives with his whole party in the north, and the first thing he wants to do is...
Lannister. That's the queen's brother.
There's like that, immediately followed by... come on, Ned, I want to go to the crypts and pay my respects. And then you see Cersei, like, do you have to? We just arrived here. We've been on the road. And then he just walks past her. And it's like, oh, something's up.
Serious.
And then you find out what it is. And it's like, oh, they didn't just knock you over the head with it right away. It was like, that was like really well placed in there.
Yeah, God, like the importance that Lyanna had throughout the entire series.
It was like a massive ripple.
Yeah, well, I mean, they introduced that so well. Like, I think that's what I'm going to like just remember the show for, is like introducing things so well.
I know exactly what you're about
Asterisk,
to say.
except for Ed Sheeran. Also, asterisk, except for Euron. Euron and Ed Sheeran are the asterisks.
Oh, when Euron's just like, I'm here, brother. Ugh.
I'm here to fuck the queen.
Oh, that part.
Everything about Euron.
You don't like Euron?
I fucking hate Euron. He looks like a rejected member of Imagine Dragons. I'll just say it.
But he was so like,
I'm gonna put a baby in you.
I liked
I'm
the way
man
he
who killed
portrayed
Jimmy
that.
Lannister.
That, like, what a good way for him to die.
All of his lines are just, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
Like, he just says it out loud.
But he's just the guy who, like, I want to do shit I've never done and I want to be known for it.
Yeah, but I fucking hate Euron. That's the one thing.
I think the actor did a great job with him. It looks like you just hate everything about him.
I hate everything about Euron.
Well, that's not at all what I thought you were going to go with next. I thought you were going to go into the fact that turns out the opening shot and scene of the entire show ended up being way more important than anyone thought it was going to be.
Do you mean opening shot as in the Night's Watch Rangers in the forest?
Yeah, opening the entire show with a scene with the White Walkers.
And then not fucking touching it for like 2 more seasons?
Yeah, like they dabbled
bold.
their toes in there. Like they dipped their toes in that,
But that
in that
is-
creamy water. Creamy water, what?
That is bold as shit to open your series with something that won't make sense ever, really.
And it's like it does make sense, but it makes sense once you're way more invested.
Yeah.
Because if I hadn't been really like wanting to watch the show, I could see how that scene might have initially been a turnoff because I don't like zombies.
Yeah.
I don't care about zombie stuff. And I know, for instance, my brother just started watching it and he said his girlfriend tapped out after that scene and was like, oh, fuck this, zombies. And it's like, yeah.
You really take for granted, like, if you're not into it, like, how, especially, like, just opening with that.
And
like,
then it's,
when it makes, and like, just the way we're kind of, like, programmed recently with how we consume our media in terms of, like, we got to have that instant payoff. Like we saw with season 8. If there was not payoff for something, by the end of that episode, that was a large complaint. And it's like, hey, this is a serialized media.
Yeah.
Like, we could have something for that next episode.
Yeah.
More often than not, we did.
it's like this is meant to be consumed as an entire season and then now as an entire series.
Yeah.
So you see that and they touch on it, they talk about it like the boogeyman type of thing. They show
Boogeyman.
they show little bits here and there, but they don't wait to bring that major force in until you're invested in a large part of the ensemble.
Yeah, until
Like-
they don't really make it anything almost until Hardhome. Like,
Yeah. Like they do a little bit.
but like you said, they dabble.
Yeah.
Like, you see them walk past Sam. Like, you see them. You don't see them. You see what they leave. Like, you saw at the Fist of the First Men how they had, like, arranged parts of the corpses and the horses and everything. And then you see one go after Sam.
Yeah.
And then you don't really get any idea of who they are, even when, like, Craster puts a baby out and then they take the baby, and then that's the first glimpse you get of the Night King is, like, going up to him and
That wasn't the night.
touching the baby.
Oh yeah, that part was.
Yeah, that one. So, like, you don't get any glimpse of it, even then, like, if you didn't know what it was kind of leading to or anything, like, if you weren't kind of digging into, like, the lore of it, like, I can see where that would be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. And like just being kind of annoying that it's like zombie stuff or whatever. But yeah, it is crazy how that ended up being like the thing by the end when you're all of a sudden Hardhome happens, raises his arms, and you're like, oh fuck. It isn't just, oh, they're here, burn them quick. Oh, he got one guy, but we burned him. He's gone.
I mean, and like it ended up being the kind of main thing. Like that's the reason everyone was brought together, and then Cersei was kind of the fallout of that, like kind of like in the immediate aftermath of it. Mm-hmm. But like the Night King, super OP, and then got nerfed like right at the end there.
Yeah,
just hardcore nerfed.
Well, he had always been like vulnerable to.
I just wish we would have gotten one scene where the Night King like 1v1 someone. Like, and it wouldn't make sense because like if you kill him, then you kill everyone. Like he would never put himself in that danger.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted to see it.
Yeah, you wanted to see him go at it Soul
With
Calibur
his
2
fucking
style.
cool ass ice blade. Fuck yes, his ancient looking ice blade.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
I wanted to see him go after someone.
Yeah, that would have been
Like
cool.
even if it was just like a quick like I think the only person we see him kill is the three-eyed raven. I think it's it.
And
other
dragon.
Yeah, other than Viserys.
Yeah, does
Dragon
he?
doesn't I mean I don't think Viserys counts as like a person.
No.
Like the only person we see him kill is the three-eyed raven.
Do we see him kill that? Am I just blanking on the scene where he does that?
Yeah, he like takes the thing and like slashes him.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then he,
yeah,
like,
yeah. Yep.
But that's it.
Yeah.
So
Shit.
like he was always super mysterious, and then even to the end he was mysterious. I kind of like that we didn't get any fucking explanation on him.
Yeah, because that's what made him. It's you don't want to know more.
Yeah.
Like you might think you want to know more. You don't. You maybe want to know about like his lore, like the history of how he came to be. But it's like at least he didn't fucking talk or something.
Yeah, at least he wasn't like Bran.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Bran.
He speaks
Oh my
in
God.
he speaks in Danny DeVito's voice. Bran, I'm here to kill ya. Hey, Bran, I found this sword in the trash.
How did you feel about the Arya thing? Did that bug you?
About Arya killing the Night King?
Yeah.
Nah.
Didn't bug me either.
I thought it was the dopest shit.
Yeah.
That was the dopest fucking shit ever.
Yeah.
When she pulled that right out of her hat.
Because that was in season 7. You'd seen her training with Brienne, and when she was doing, she was fighting with Needle or whatever, and then she pulled out the knife
And then does the exact
Like,
move, and
yeah.
then they get at each other's necks. But yeah, just it felt very satisfying that it was Arya that got to do it. Like, yeah, I know we all wanted to see Jon 1v1 the Night King,
right, but
it wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
because I'm guessing that the Night King saw Jon as way too big of a threat. Like the Night King watched Jon kill one of his commanders in like the one-on-one combat with Longclaw, which was the most hype I've ever been at any TV
when
moment.
the blades collided and you hear that ding, and it
Like when that happens and he finally gets, I thought that was the end. Like
Yeah.
every episode of Game of Thrones was essentially me prepping myself for like, okay, they're gonna kill Jon and I gotta be ready for it.
Yeah.
And then when it happened, I was like, I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Like I thought they were just leading me to believe that he was going places. And then they throw that shit at
and
me.
They just snuffed him right out.
But it was so just interesting to like look at the walkers as like these otherworldly threat, and then you're following this character that you're just assuming is going to die at every corner because of how they treat everyone before him. Like really, Jon Snow was like the last like major character death kind of thing. Like, you had like Robb Stark, you had Ned Stark, you had Stannis. Like, but even by the end, Stannis was like, yeah, we just got to get you out of the way.
Yeah.
But like, that one just hit different. And like during that episode of Hard Home, where you're sure it's the end of him and like the end of the wildlings and everything. And then, oh God, like what are they going to do when he's gone? Runs, like just crawls out, grab Longclaw and then just turn around with it. And there's that tsing, and it's just,
and it dinged for like just long enough
where it, I remember watching that and like jumping out of the couch and like running laps around my living room because it was so perfect.
Yeah.
And then it was over quickly after that. Like then it was just like 1, 2, kill him. And it was just so satisfying because then it was like, it was the added bonus of like, okay, one, we know Longclaw is Valyrian steel and we know Valyrian steel can kill walkers now.
Yep. Because that was when we learned of that.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're like, oh, fuck, he's
because we knew
dead.
we knew Dragonglass could do it, and we kind of had hints that like Dragonglass and Obsidian might be similar, and then once we get that confirmation of like, I love the way they did it too. Like they didn't just outright say in that moment like, Valyrian steel kills White Walkers. Like it was just that implied like, if you weren't invested in it, you might have just been like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, why did no one do this before?
Yeah.
But when you're invested so heavily and then you have that realization, then after that episode, you're like, okay, I know Brienne has a Valyrian steel sword. I know Jaime has a Valyrian steel sword.
You start like, it's like one dot and then all the other things like, oh shit.
And then you can kind of start seeing what George R.R. Martin was like setting up.
Yeah.
Like with all the intricate little things of, that's what I love the most about Game of Thrones is all the intricate little details of how people come to be like in possession of an item or how people come to be in the company of each other or then you start like those have bigger implications in the end. And I think everything like wrapped up nicely with like everyone's little implications like went somewhere.
Yeah, they kind of got settled, and that goes back to why I rewatch every season before the new season airs, is because there are so many little things, and you know I might forget this one line, so I want to be fresh on it because that one little line they said that seemingly just was another thing they said could come back and be the thing that changes the game.
And you learn so much more when you know what's going to happen.
Right.
Like when you're not so tense.
Right.
Like then you can just watch and see what happens.
Yeah. So how did you feel about crossing, like on the other side of the Narrow Sea, how did you feel about Dany and her kind of whole thing? Because we haven't talked a lot about Dany and like that
Essos. Yeah. Well, I mean, because she was the only one in Essos. Like we never get another view of Essos.
Yeah, it was just like 6 seasons of her just like, is someone else here? Is someone else here? Please. She was the only one.
Yeah, literally. I loved following Dany. Like she was absolutely one of my favorites, like to follow along with, because she was a different part of the world that no one else got to see and no one else cared about.
That was like a huge factor as to why she was so interesting.
Yeah, and plus, like she was like the only magical character. Like she had dragons. Like she woke 3 dragons out of stone, and like I loved the building that Daenerys did the entire time. Like she started out being sold, and then
was
she kind of like
huge ramp the entire series.
Yeah, she was a huge fucking ramp because it was just like she was like started at the bottom of the barrel, like not really bottom of the barrel because she's still a Targaryen,
but the one of 2 remaining Targaryens being sold off to slavery, and even her brother, like who they should have been in it together, said, "I'd let all 40,000 men and their horses fuck you if it were to get what I want."
Yeah, because they both were just so obsessed with the throne.
She had to let her creepy brother just rub his finger over her nipple on camera. It was really uncomfortable for everyone watching.
Yeah, it was really. Once you realize,
and he said he looked his sister in the eye and said, "You have a woman's body now." I don't have a sister. If anyone who has a sister were to do that, if you were to do that, Tyler, you'd be arrested by the police.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, and you would own it.
I would hope that I'd be arrested if I ever did something
we
like that.
immediately see her, like, that stuff happen to her, and we're like...
And then she starts gaining the respect of...
Then she starts lifting.
Not...
She hits a crisp 175, and she's...
the perfect weight.
The perfect weight to beat the shit out of some people.
The perfect way to beat the shit out of anyone. That's it, anyone. Like, she doesn't gain the respect of the Dothraki, but she gains the respect of the Call. And then through that, like, she loses the respect of the people initially. When the Call dies, then they kind of like try to abandon her almost. Mm-hmm. But like, she was loved when she was eating the horse heart.
While she was with him, she had the respect because he commanded the respect, and he showed her how to be powerful.
Yeah. And then...
And have strength and be...
She was briefly not respected because the whole witch thing. Like, and then she was stopping the Dothraki from, their whole pillaging thing, which is their thing. Like, you can't just come in here and tell us what to do. Like, this is our thing. We do this every Tuesday. It's like our bowling night.
Yeah. We're out with the boys. Leave us alone, babe.
Exactly. And then like, once they see that, like... She fucking walked into a fire and nothing happened. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And then...
Well, that's when they looked at her as like, you are like a god figure.
Yeah.
You have like ascended.
But then even then, like, start season 2, she's on her way to Karth, and then she's no one. Like, she has the respect of the people that saw her do that.
Right.
But that's it. Like, she gets to Karth and it's like, okay, well, if we leave you here, you're dead. So
yeah. So we good.
Yeah, like, we don't need to do shit for you.
Yeah.
Like, you don't, like, your dragons are babies. They're not going to do anything.
She gets underestimated at about every step up until like the very end. I mean, it's higher stakes underestimating, but
yeah. Like,
so like
there were small
you'll
ones,
die if I leave you.
like in Karth, where she said, like, I'll return and I'll burn your cities to the ground. And they were like, don't think so, because
you'll die.
If we leave you out here, you're dead.
Right.
And then she starts going through Slaver's Bay, and like, when she initially gets the Dothraki, like, what was so incredible about her is that, like, everything she set her mind to happened. Like, there was not a moment that was like, yeah, I guess that's fine if I don't get this. It was like, nope, I need soldiers, I need ships, I need my dragons to grow up a little bit.
And it was literally like what everything, even if they were like, that's not the smart thing to do here, and then at the last second she'd be like, no, I want it, so I'm just going to do it.
Yeah, and I know there were so many complaints about her from season 8, but let's just ignore those because they're all dumb.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we could disprove a lot of it or discount any of those complaints.
Because, like, they did build her up in that way where she believed she was a god and you also believed she was a god.
That's the thing, is in the last episode when Tyrion's imprisoned and he's talking with Jon and he gives that speech about
how could she not believe that she was destined?
Every time she did this, she killed, like, how many people she slaughtered, and we all cheered for her because who could argue? They were bad men. And every time we cheered her on, she became more and more sure that every move she made was correct, was just, and was right.
And then her speech about, like, well, how do we choose who's right and who's wrong? Like, what about these people? Like, they don't get a choice. Yeah. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I do the decision making.
Right.
That's kind of my thing.
Yeah. And so right there, everything about her character changing, no, it didn't. It just became
visible.
It just became visible because it was no longer across a narrow sea, abstract, different, away from all the people.
And that's what was so
loved.
perfect about it, is because before it was away from everyone, so there was no harm in it.
Right.
But now it's like, this has impacts on the people that I like, so now I'm worried. that's not a bad character. That's a good character that makes you worried that like, oh shit, now this has impacts. Like that's so wonderfully crafted that like over where she's disconnected from everyone, low stakes. But now you bring that exact same mentality into already established people who have never met her, then it's like, oh fuck, now I'm seeing where this could go south.
And it was every time she made a move, she always started off with good intentions and just intentions. And sometimes it got really brutal and she would kill people and everything. But even up until the end, she still thought, what I'm doing, this is better for everyone. I'm going to liberate the world under my rule. Mm-hmm. And everyone else just saw it as like, oh no, no one ever has been able to stop her yet.
She was such a good, like, not as dramatic of like, kind of like a character change as like Theon went through.
No.
Not nearly as dramatic, but just a really well done character in terms of like, we all love her and we're all rooting for her. But then once we see the implications of what that could have in our world that we already had over here, that we were more connected to, then we were worried, and then we started to see her like kind of change as she had to adapt to the new world that she thought would fully accept her.
Yeah.
But then
because even though she had said stuff around the quote of like, my brother said that people were sowing secret flags in our honor or stuff like that, but I never believed that. I think she kind of did. Like, I think at the bottom, she was always kind of like, well, people are going to love me. Like, people love me here. I'm Misa. I'm the savior. I'm the
people
Marine.
will love me. Like, they might not be stitching Targaryen flags, but they will love me.
Yeah.
And then I just thought she was so well done in terms of portrayal and just how,
in terms of outfits, just god damn. Like,
I was not a fan of the white and red coat.
Really?
I was not a fan of the white and red coat.
Okay.
I was a fan of Sansa's like shoulder blades and like the like weird like plated cuts.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Like those costume designs.
I know. They're so cool.
They were so fucking cool.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I just can't understand someone being like, well, this totally ruins like Daenerys' character arc was for nothing, or like this means nothing. And it's like, no, like it was an integral part to the story, like that we watched her do this and loved it, and now we watch her do it and we're like, ugh, but
not here though. Don't do it here, please.
Don't do it here, please. It was honestly, it was the dopest shit when you crucified all those people.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty dope, but not here, please.
Not here. This is where my friends are.
Yeah. Like, I didn't mind when it was not my friends, but when it's my friends.
So my main question to do with Daenerys' arc just has to be, do the dragons shit, and why did they cut those scenes that I fucking know exist? All right?
We only saw one person shit in Game of Thrones.
And it was
Tywin Lannister.
Tywin Lannister, yeah.
And I know that gold came out of his rectum.
Why'd you cut so much pooping, HBO?
Why? D&D. Why was there no pooping? There could have been way more pooping scenes.
Thanks, D&D.
You spent like 5 minutes of Sam cleaning up puke. I guess there was poop there. But there could have been more poop. I didn't just want Old Maester poop. I wanted
I wanted all flavors of
I wanted all flavors of poop.
I wanted all 32 flavors of that sweet, sweet, good stuff.
If we could get a recut of Game of Thrones with more poop, I'd like it more.
Yeah.
The one thing I do wish, like I'm always very conflicted when I think about this with Game of Thrones, is I loved this idea of a fantasy where it's Game of Thrones is fantasy, but it's mildly fantasy. Like the world is very fantasy, but like the show that you follow is very character driven. It's very character based.
That's it's almost become a meme to describe it to like someone who doesn't watch it that way. Like when I was trying to get my brother to watch it, and I had to just try and describe it, I was like, it's kind of that Ben Wyatt quote where it's
Yeah.
like, no, it's a fantasy show, like, or it's a grounded show in a fantasy setting or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's kind of like a meme. Like, no, it's about the characters. Yeah, I know. It's over. But that's literally what it is.
it's like it's the most grounded show. And the best thing I've been able to try and describe it as is it's like, it's House of Cards,
but good.
but medieval.
Yeah, it's House
But
of
good. House of Cards was good.
House of Cards had like 3 good seasons.
Let's just sidetrack this into like the House of Cards spoilers. So what do you think of season 1?
Kevin Spacey's a literal rapist.
That's, yeah.
Literal rapist Kevin Spacey. We just got to get that out. I mean, we all got to live with it, okay? Kevin Spacey's a literal rapist, should probably go to jail.
But didn't have Ed Sheeran in it.
Didn't have Ed Sheeran. Ding! They get a point.
Score 1 for the home team.
No, like I'm always conflicted when I think about it because I love how kind of like grounded the show was and how it was very like, you know, they're in that setting, but like the story is applicable in any setting and in any time period.
Yeah.
Like but there's always a part of me that's like, I would have liked to have seen more magical things.
Oh, real? Okay, like what?
I don't know, just more of the magic side of the world. Like, we got a little bit of the Children of the Forest. I would have liked, you know, kind of like some exploration into like old magics and like where they might have come from.
Okay.
Or like the weirwood trees, like, and the faces they have carved on them.
See, I never felt that way.
I see. I want that little bit more magical aspect.
Yeah.
Just because, like, in terms of like magical, like TV things or like any media, like you kind of really only got Harry Potter, and that's dumb British school kid magic.
I'm sure there's like 24 CW shows that
Oh,
are about.
fuck off. I don't give a fuck about any CW show. Like,
What about The Arrow? What about The Shoot Man?
yeah, like I would have just liked to see some more magical things, but that's what I'm really excited about, like all the spin-off shows for, is because I don't want just magical stuff. I want the Westeros version of magic. Like, I want the George R.R. Martin magical.
I think that's what it is
like
that
not Tolkien magical, like where everything is fucking like
Eagles. But
everything is fucking eagles.
I've literally everyone, they can't get enough of that shit. I think part of it goes back to when we were talking about
Everything
the Night
is
King.
fucking eagles, literally. Eiffel, band name I call it.
All right. I concede that one to you. I'm not pleased about it, but alas, it is yours.
You have to respect
I've
it.
bent the knee. I think it goes back to when we were talking about the Night King and how he was very cool because he was mysterious and you didn't know a ton about him, but you kept getting like, oh, there's a little bit we can cling on to.
I don't want like in-depth like explanations of it. Like, I just want...
You want to see like more practical uses of it almost?
I-
like you want to
yeah,
see it
like-
being utilized more in the world.
I want to
and-
see like kind of the impact it has, or like the lack thereof, or like just a little bit more like just edge me a little bit more with that magical.
God, tease me, George.
Yeah, like just tease me a little bit with the magic.
I feel like it's good to point out now, however fucking far we are into this, that we did not read the books, so there could be a lot more explanation in the books. But that being said,
I did start listening to the second one. And Cool Books 2.
oh, cool books.
Books
so,
too,
So
cool
I
books.
assume you did go do the first one.
Yeah.
Okay. So
like
you're
I
getting through
listened.
it.
Yeah, I'm going to get through it. But I have consumed so much in terms of like exterior media surrounding the world of Westeros.
Right.
Where there is more of an explanation of magic, but it's still like, because it's that first person perspective and no one of those characters is themselves magical really.
Yeah.
Like, it's mostly like stories of it. And that's what I love, is like hearing the like built-in stories of Westeros where like people like townsfolk will talk about the tale of like when the Targaryens first came and conquered, like but they're almost good because they've been so twisted in folklore that it's like
that's what I think is
cool.
real.
Like,
that goes along with the world building. Is like it's like that old writing thing done in like the most perfect way in the show, and then from just like the exterior media I've consumed about the books and stuff like that. It's that it's built up and it seems more interesting because you're not just being told or being shown like, look, here's all the power it has. You hear about it through stories and folklore and mythology within the actual context of that world.
Like how
that makes it stand out as
how
like
the
so
Northerners are very suspicious. Like old Nan, when we have her in the show, like telling the story about like the longest winter to Bran.
Yeah.
Like
it's a horror story.
Yeah, it's a horror story, and like the Rat King and everything. Like,
yeah,
that shit is so good because it's not like, oh, this is a true thing. Let's do a flashback to a thing that happened. It's like it became a story within Westeros, so it's mostly like the story of this continent,
right? And it even with the White Walkers, it's like what. I mean, the entire show is just a story. It is just a story being retold by the Maesters. Like, that's what the books are. And then that's what the show is as well. I
copied Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it just copied Lord of the Rings by just it was being a book. Oh, ugh, D&D suck. What another thing about the building of the world that I think is so cool is that there are so many smaller side characters that you just never thought you could love. And it's like an unironic kind of love. It's not like, oh, I love that guy in SpongeBob that says my leg because it's funny. It's like a meme or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? It's like
you grow to really get connected to
Missandei and Davos, and I mean Davos takes on a much bigger role later on, but like Varys and Littlefinger, who both have some bigger parts, but all in all they're small, they're tucked back, and the fact that they can draw emotion from me like that is crazy because. Like, I loved Varys, and I thought that for being a side character who's like, oh, you're the master of whispers, he knows that when he's been a fucking asshole, but he's always looking at the bigger picture, and he's really good at it.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, I can't think of anything else. Like, this is a very Game of Thrones specific thing, is like, what other show has this kind of, like, ensemble that you can grow connected to? Like someone who's been on the screen for like a collective 5 minutes, but they might be talked about, or what other like media can do that where it's like, oh, I really like this obscure side character because,
and not for like a haha, it's funny because it's funny to say that's my favorite character.
Except Sir Pounce.
Sir Pounce, that's fully acceptable to say you love him.
Yeah, because everyone loves Sir Pounce.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
But like Loras Tyrell, not a main character at all. But then you can like sympathize with him, and then you can see where his main conflict is, and then you can see where like his main conflict like completely fucks him over in the end because of this religious persecution.
Yeah.
Like that's a weird side story that really doesn't have like a huge effect on what Daenerys is doing at all. It doesn't affect it at all, but you can say that like, yeah, I really liked the character of Loras.
Yeah.
Because there was just enough there and there's enough where it's talked about where like no other media has that ensemble that you can just like pick and choose from.
No. And ones that are so it's how well they're fleshed out and how well they're interconnected with each other. But also I think it's just that they created people.
Yeah.
These are just like fully fleshed out people.
Yeah. They just created people.
Those people exist now.
Now it's a crossover with Westworld. They created...
That's for Westworld 3, yeah.
Yeah, that's for
season 3.
Yeah, Westworld 3. Well, we can just call it Westworld 3.
Yeah, W3.
In
WW3.
WW3. But here's the
trademark
thing.
U.S. government.
If you flip the 3, it becomes an extra W. What does it mean? This is just our HBO spoiler cast.
For all of HBO.
Westworld season 2 kind of sucked.
Now, I feel like we didn't even touch on any of like...
Yeah, that's where I wanted to expand that outward into the just kind of like how this changes the media landscape, because now there is such a big push where like I don't want to see like a movie every 2-3 years and that's just 2 hours. Like that's just not enough. Like I want serialized media so I can have more of it more frequently. But then there's also the problem of HBO was like the first show to get, movie budget, but still have to condense that into, they have a crazy fucking schedule.
So here's the thing. It's like, there's a lot of television shows and there's a lot of good television shows, and that's kind of changing, but nothing has ever done this.
No, this is like the first of its kind where it's got such a huge budget, such a huge following, and
even when it didn't have much of a budget, you didn't know because they were so skillful about crafting it to be that whole thing of like, it's what's in the frame that counts. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I remember watching something with the director of the scene when Ned gets beheaded. And he was like, yeah, this is back when we had zero budget at all. And the set pretty much consists of this brick wall in Malta and these 4 flags. But the way they capture everything in the frame, you don't realize that they don't have a budget, and they brought you into the world. And as it got bigger and bigger and bigger, it got so much better. The world became more believable, and it's like I don't just want another TV show. I want more of
this
in the
whatever this is.
But I also don't know what else needs it.
John Wick
could really use a bigger budget. Hollywood.
Yeah. No, like I can't think of another thing that needs this budget, but then you could also say like think of how they did every medieval thing before. Like, did they need a big budget? Like,
I mean, I suppose it was kind of like how Lord of the Rings changed the game too.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well, we're going into this world, we need the budget to realize it. And it paid off, and this was the first television series to shoot up to this level.
That, and like I just can't get over they made 10 movies every single year.
Yeah.
Like with the locations they had to do, with the budget they used, with the amount of cast and crew that they needed.
Yeah.
Like the entire production value behind it, like wardrobe, stunt coordinators.
Cast even.
Like, yeah, just extras and the fucking prosthetics department and
having however many visual effects teams. I mean, it obviously scaled up, but like they had
render a fucking dragon, the best looking dragon that's ever been.
That the CGI in Game of Thrones is better than pretty much every movie I've ever seen.
The Drogon season 8
is a fucking masterpiece.
It's unparalleled.
Yeah,
like. I can't think, like in my head now, when I think of dragon, that is it. It is Drogon.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else. Technically, he's a wyvern. Shut up.
Shut up, you dork.
Shut up, you fucking dorks, as
nerd.
we speak on our Game of Thrones spoiler cast.
But we're cool.
In your basement,
but we're
with
cool.
Game of Thrones banners and a master sword behind us.
All right.
Also a little replica Iron Throne.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and also, this is a beer that I got from the hotel where the cast stayed in Northern Ireland while they were filming at Winterfell.
Oh, world traveler.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I'd been just to the set and seen a lot
Titanic
of it.
Studios?
No. The actual location.
Well, I mean, you went to Belfast, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Did you go in the studio?
Yes, I have a photo of Titanic Studios, Tyler. I didn't get to go in it because they were filming, so I didn't get to see it. But I did get to go up in the Titanic Museum and peer down into it.
Kit Harington like looked up.
He looks,
gave you the
yeah,
eyes.
he was about half a mile away, but he made direct eye contact with me, and I can say that because no one can prove me wrong.
So does this change the media outlook now on, hey, we should be giving shows more budget because they can look like this now, or what shows need this budget or what deserves it? And like, are we going to be getting more like kind of diverse media in this aspect of like, who would have thought that a medieval fantasy would take off in this way?
Yes and no. So here's what I think is going to happen. I think there's going to be a lot of people trying to go with, oh, people love medieval fantasy now, but I don't think that's what it was. I think they had a good setting and they did it really well, but I don't think it was the fact that everyone was just was horny for that medieval fantasy.
Horny for swords.
But we see a lot. Although
we are horny for swords.
Hell yes, we are.
That is a known fact.
That is.
Shwing!
Sword watch.
We're crossing media platforms here.
It's that they realized a world so fully and to such a detailed level that people were invested and completely transported.
I think it had something for everyone too. Like, if you like medieval fantasies, it's a great world. If you like character dramas, this is a great character drama. If you like action, plenty of action.
Yep.
Like, it really is all encompassing. So it's not like watching, like, I mean, I know I might get shit for this, but like, it's not like Breaking Bad where it's kind of like one or two things. Like,
right. Like, oh, drama that, went there.
Yeah.
This does everything. And I think a lot of companies right now are seeing that and they're focusing on the wrong things. And the examples I'm going to use are, of course, Amazon putting $1 billion into 5 seasons of a Lord of the Rings series.
They quickly put $1 billion in that.
Yeah. Well, it's a drop in the bucket for Bezos.
Yeah.
The Bezos bucket. He Bezos bucks in the Bezos bucket.
Oh, he has so much money.
He's got
no one should have that much money.
He sneezed on a $1 bill. It was easily worth $1 billion at that point, and they just handed that to some guy, and he was like, I got the crew. The other example I'm going to use is going to be the Netflix series based off the Witcher novels, which they're like, okay, well, Lord of the Rings is a big series. Song of Ice and Fire was a big series. What's the other big series? I guess we'll go to this obscure Polish one that didn't ever get big outside of Poland, except for the one very popular video game. I know there were 3 of them, but only one of them was extremely popular.
Only one of them was extremely popular, so that seems like a fucking long shot because A Song of Ice and Fire already had a dedicated following and it had mass appeal. Like, in terms of, there's a lot of aspects of this show.
Are you saying because it's basically a porn? If you say that, you're a piece of shit. I'm just gonna go ahead and make that bold statement. But they're focusing on the wrong aspects of going, oh, well, we need to find the next fantasy that people are gonna dive into. Now,
it's not that it was a fantasy.
Exactly, yeah.
It's more of like it had something for everyone. And it was so great as like a character-driven show that you were deeply invested.
And it was that they did take the time, the dedication, and focused on the details, and they really transported you. And it's not that they transported you to a fantasy world; it's that they were able to put you somewhere else.
Yeah, that's all that media is just putting you into another place and saying, be in our world for an hour here and just kind of like envelop yourself in this thing.
And that's why I think
it's so believable too.
Right. And that's why I want someone to be able to look at this and go and understand that part and not just go, okay, well, what fantasy world should we recreate now? And like, hopefully we'll get a big budget for it. I want them to look at something and go, what did no one think could be done? Because that was, I mean, I guess it happened with the Lord of the Rings.
That was a huge task.
But that was a huge thing because George R. R. Martin was like, okay, well, like if this is going to happen, you have to do it right.
Yeah.
Like, you really have to do it you have to take every world consideration into this because I didn't craft this for no reason. And that's why he was very, he had plenty of movie deals offered to him in the past. And that's why he decided to not take them and go with this. and they did a fantastic
If you tried to put
job.
that into a fucking movie,
Right.
Jesus fuck.
It would have been a terrible movie.
Yeah. See Aragorn.
You mean
Aragon?
Hollywood?
Aragon.
Aragorn is from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Now, I want
Are
someone
you
to...
quizzing me on my fantasy knowledge?
Yeah, what's...
Strider.
Damn it. You're so good. But what if...
Elrond.
L. Ron Hubbard. The best fantasy ever written. No, I'm just kidding. That's the...
Tom Cruise wants to know your location.
Oh, shit.
Did you know he does his own stunts?
Yeah, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck either.
Okay.
He's still Tom fucking Cruise. He's got a crooked tooth.
But... It's a weird thing to... Yeah, but he's short and I'm 175.
Yeah, he's short and I'm 175. Come at me, Tom Cruise. I'll kick your fucking ass. I weigh 175 pounds.
Tub. I want to see someone find a world that no one thought could be realized like this before and really, really take that budget, take that trust, and be able to do something special with it like this.
Hear me out.
God damn it, Tyler. I
Hear me out.
swear to
I'm
God.
not joking.
Okay.
I'm not joking. I genuinely believe the next big media thing could be John Wick because it's got enough of like a weird lived-in world, and it allows you, like Game of Thrones, to just completely suspend all disbelief for the amount of time that they give you, and you're just in it, and then it's, wow, that like captivated me for that time. Like it's captivating in that same sense. So like
It's not in that same sense. Not even a little bit in that same sense.
But like it's captivating where it draws you in and it allows you to live in that world, and like it doesn't try and take you out of it. Like it completely keeps you there, and it's mostly to show that like it doesn't need to be a specific thing. Like John Wick could be that thing. Couldn't be fucking any closer to Game of Thrones. Like there are...
I see what you mean in terms of like it. Yes, it's a very, very different thing, but you can still see how they created a believable world, and that's what's important about it. Not that it's a fantasy medieval world.
Yeah, it's you can put it in any setting, but as long it just comes down to like, can you make me care enough about this thing? And can you make me live in your world for the amount of time that you give me? And then I can't even think of any other franchise currently other than Star Wars. I do love my Star Wars.
Yeah, but yeah.
That's already
Yes.
like that's a movie.
So that's
though.
a good comparison though. Yeah. But
And I'm thinking more in terms of like TV, because I think it's just clear that like we are shifting.
I think
to
Star
TV now.
Wars could have been a fantastic television series if it had been budgeted the same way Game of Thrones was. You know what I mean? There's enough to go on there. But that's what we're talking about, I think, is just kind of that. I don't want to go
Like
off on let's talk about all of our favorite series.
Yeah, like a television series. Like we are moving towards, well, not television, like streaming. Like we are moving towards serialized streaming media. Like we have Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. Like everyone's putting out their own originals. Like everyone's trying to win the originals game.
Yeah.
So we're getting serialized media. We're not getting like, we're going to a theater and seeing this anymore. It's like who can win the Iron Throne of the
Yeah.
TV universe?
Yeah.
Like who's going to
can
come out
capture
top
the
dog?
zeitgeist in the same way? It'll be interesting to see
This is
because
the most popular series ever made.
Game of Thrones changed television.
Yeah. And I mean,
Just full stop.
It wasn't even like television technically because it's
It's HBO.
HBO.
But I mean, because that explains why it's not like that finale
That's why
was
it
the
took
highest
off.
episode, but it wasn't the highest finale ever viewed. That's going to go to like Seinfeld or whatever.
Yeah.
Because anyone could watch it.
Yeah, but it's allowing I think it's also allowing the creative freedom, because when you have a show that can pretty much do fucking whatever, and then they can completely send you on a tailspin in another direction, or catch you with something out of the blue or do a bold thing that no other television, like you think, oh, why hasn't this been done before in a television series? Like, why has no one done this before? There were only networks. Like, you couldn't do that shit because they have strict rules, and then fucking execs will come down hard on, like, this character is a cash grab. We want to keep them around. So, like Daryl with The Walking Dead, like, it's a cash grab.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it is. It's
Yeah.
like they had nothing for him to do, basically, seasons 5 through 8. So it was like, well, we keep him around because he's a fan favorite. We have nothing for him to do. We can't justify him being here.
Right. I want stuff that's going to be like, we're primed now because this changed it where it's like, we are like telling this story. I know it's based off the books, and I know people get so upset when the seasons went off book because there were no more books. But they changed the game in the stories that could be told and going, I'm staying true to my vision and I'm not worried just purely about, well, this is a fan favorite, we got to keep him so we don't lose any of our fans. They fucking went there, and I think people loved it, and they really clung onto it. And with Game of Thrones laying the pavement for this, and with how the media is changing in terms of Netflix originals and Amazon originals and HBO.
I think there's more creative freedom to go to those places.
There's more creative freedom for that, and there's more of a craving for it than ever to be really like, holy shit. Like, we need to have another moment like Sir Ilan bring me his head.
Yeah, and we need to have like the creative vision of like the creators guiding it, not just like a network saying, well, we got to hit these markers.
Right.
Like,
yep.
I feel like if anything should be learned from Game of Thrones is that if you allow the creators to like take these directions, like you're gonna get a following of people that will be like, oh, this is incredible, like that they did this and like they did this.
Yeah.
And like all those surprising moments where it's that might not typically happen on a network TV show, like Jerry Seinfeld isn't gonna be holding George Costanza's head. You're never gonna see that. Would I have liked to have seen it? Absolutely.
Hell yeah, I would have.
But like I just want to see out of this, like, I want to watch something and be like, yes, the creators got to do exactly what they wanted, and like the people funding this just trusted them to be like, okay, we're gonna trust you, like, to carry out your vision here.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to see, is that creative freedom that Game of Thrones had.
Yeah, I want to see people really take note of that, and I think this is like a
call to action.
No, this is a good cathartic sort of end cap and really like a thank you note sort of to Game of Thrones, because I have never, like, this is by far my favorite piece of media I've ever consumed in my life. It's at every aspect. I mean, you just heard fucking, I don't even know how many hours of it, and it's
210.
It's unmatched, and so I just want to say, like, a thank you to The Void for what Game of Thrones did and the way it was able to transport me, and
the entire crew for making that shit happen.
Yes.
Like, for
That's the other
building
thing.
that world and like managing that world.
If one department had been like, oh, I don't like where this character goes this season. Like, I don't even really care. Like, oh, it's hot and I'm tired and whatever. But they would have
the best fucking work. Like, that whole crew did the best fucking work ever.
Every last one of them was dedicated.
Every one of them. If you are a Game of Thrones crew member, thank you for your service.
God bless. If you're that one guy that I met when I was in Northern Ireland visiting Castle Winterfell, because I was there, I don't know. Tyler, I want to end it by asking you, what death really, really got you? Oh. Go ahead. You can take some time to think about it. Oh. I'll edit out your silence.
What death?
Take your time, because I'm still thinking too. Probably John Aaron.
Really fucked everything up. The death that, like, emotionally affected me the most, I think, is easily Ygritte. Like that one.
Oh,
That one
Good one.
was very, very difficult because it wasn't just losing Egret as like another like side character, but a very cool side character to have. Like she was so cool, and it wasn't just the loss of her. Like that was a big one. Like, oh fuck, we're not going to see her anymore. Like she's not going to be a part of this. It was also like the implications of her death with John and with how the Night's Watch would look at the wildlings now, and like her death carried a big toll of like the wildlings lost. They're going to retreat again, and now the Night's Watch is going to hate them more than ever.
Yeah.
Like also like John had to be with the wildlings for so long. He was so connected with them, and obviously Egret was like his first love. So like she died in his arms, and it also comes down to like the cinematography of the scene, like where like they very rarely do slow motion.
There was like maybe 3 shots that were slow motion previous to that.
Yeah, like they very rarely do slow motion. And when I think that was like their best example of slow motion was just slowly panning through the ground floor of Castle Black, and you see everyone fighting, and then their best fighter just on the ground like shaking, like holding someone.
Wasn't it like on them and it just slowly pulled back to reveal more of the scene happening around them, and he was just like holding her?
I can't remember if it was pull out
I'm
or
pretty
pull.
sure it went straight back.
Okay, I don't know. It either went straight back or it went like
But it
left
like
to right.
It became, you just saw all of this happening around him holding her.
Yeah.
That was a really, really good.
That was a really tough one to deal with.
That hit right at home.
Because it was so sad, and you knew it had to happen, but also fuck Ollie.
Yeah, fuck Ollie. So my saddest death was
Hardest-
Ollie. What a good kid. Killed before his time.
Or Alistair Thorne.
I loved him too. You know,
He was so good with his small face.
He didn't.
His face that is much too small for his
face
head.
was 1/3 the size of the rest of his head.
Exactly.
It was just kind of squished right into the middle there.
Bastard.
I am gonna go then with Tywin for similar reasons because of what happened around his death, where Jaime really stuck his neck out, showed his brother love,
And got fucked over for it.
yeah, and got super fucked over. He didn't really face big consequences that much, but he did get kind of betrayed by Tyrion in that moment because Tyrion was
just supposed to leave.
scorned by everything else that he saw Shay, and that crushed him. Like him and Shay's relationship.
Shay was also a very hard death. Not because of Shay, because of Tyrion.
Yeah, because like Peter Dinklage did such a good job with like showing just raw pain in
Like,
that.
because I think in that moment, we all hated Shay. After the trial,
After the trial, we all hated Shay.
all hated Shay, where she wasn't technically lying.
No, but you
Not completely, but it was just like, oh, that's so out of context.
Yeah, and you remember how they were, and they were just the cutest together. Like it was like, finally he can have someone.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that he did that, walked in and still defended her, like don't call her a whore. And that's because his father had sentenced him to death, even though he knew he didn't do it. That was a hard death because Tyrion had to do it.
Yeah, and Tywin just wanted to send him to Castle Black, and
He would have done it just because another reason to keep his family powerful and continuing
to keep Tyrion out and not fuck with anything. But then it was also I loved the moment of no, all I want out of this is for you to take the family name. I want you to get out of the Kingsguard. It was entirely for Jaime. It was just, okay, deal.
Yeah.
This is all I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not going to...
like-
Are you kidding? I'm not going to kill my own son. That would look horrible for us.
Right.
I loved that. But that was your hardest death?
I mean, you kind of took it. Because I didn't want to just choose another one of the obvious ones. Obviously, Ned was like, oh, fucking hell. And then the Red Wedding was like a big...
Talia or... What
Talisa?
Talisa. Talisa was also a very hard one because it was also like, that was unnecessarily brutal.
Lil Ned was right in there. You got it.
It was like... They gave us Ned for a second just to be a dick.
Yeah.
Like, just to be dicks about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I didn't want to just say the obvious ones, but, like, if I had to be, like, really honest with it, like, the Red Wedding.
I think another hard one to deal with.
I loved Joffrey so much.
Well, I mean, they did his death really well, where they really like humanized him, through the lens of Cersei,
Which is
wild.
They brought him to a level where you'd never hated him more, and then they completely 180 in like a matter of a minute. Made you like, shit.
Shit, like, because you see Cersei over him, like, and that's it. You know what? I'm gonna leave the saddest death in Game of Thrones. I'm gonna chalk it up. R.I.P. Sir Pounce.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
R.I.P. Sir Pounce. They did us dirty with that one.
Canonically, the baddest death, band name I call it, but true.
R.I.P. Sir Pounce. You were braver than them all. You should have. You deserved more.
To you, I say meow, my friend.
Adieu.
He's
and meow.
He's busy drinking milk in heaven right now, and yeah, thank you if you've stuck through it for all this time. This was cathartic for us. And
does anyone know what that word means?
No.
We probably sound pretty cool using it, though.
Yeah.
We sound way smarter.
Yeah. People
like
think we're into... Yeah. And,
like
and
we
you got
read.
glasses, so like...
I read.
Yeah.
What else would I have them for? Thank you so much for watching. Who knows? We might do another one just to try and hit all the things we didn't get to fucking talk about.
That's another thing, is we missed a ton of stuff. I missed half the stuff I had written down.
Well, I mean, because if we wanted to do it, it'd be like 35 hours.
Yeah, it would be insanely long. So, let's get a discussion going in the comments. So, like, let us know your favorite moments and stuff like that. I'm always really active in them. I'm sure for this one, Tyler's going to be pretty active in it. But
I'm always stalking. It's just I pick and choose.
You're always creeping in there.
I go back to shit from like September 2017. Open those, see if we got new comments. I look, but I don't always respond because I don't want to make it seem like I'm readily available.
You want to have an air of mystique to yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm trying to be mysterious.
Yeah. So, but this is a perfect time. Like, let us know your favorite parts. Let us know if you disagree with us, or if you have
keep that to yourself.
If you have a different idea of like what we think it meant, and you thought it meant something different, let us know that. And other than that,
R.I.P. Sir Pounce and Game of Thrones. We will never see either of your likes again.
The likes of which
wait, I don't remember. I didn't get that line
we
right.
will never see their like again.